When you are in a position of power, where you're now in the midst of taking over a big business, big company, the first thing you'd probably want is to ensure the smoothness of the transition and the takeover. Once you actually get down into the business and start looking at the books and whatever else a CEO business owner has to do, you don't really want to have to deal with too much bullshit. Part of me wonders how Zaslav feels about the internal workings of Warner Brothers and all the shit they have to go through with movie releases and actors and actresses right now. And I kind of feel bad for the guy because he was probably thinking like, dude, I'm handling DC. I'm handling one of the biggest IPs ever created with two of the best superheroes ever created in Batman and Superman. How much fun is this going to be? And so far, his time running Warner Brothers and DC has been awful. He's probably sitting there thinking to himself, this is a terrible company, and they constantly put themselves in terrible positions. A good article and a well-written article from Deadline was released about a day or two ago, and I do want to read it because it details a lot of different possibilities on how they could handle the Ezra Miller situation and how they could handle the Flash movie situation. I am going to read it, of course, but as you know from previous videos, I have stated I don't even want the movie to come out. That's just a personal opinion of mine. There is a little bit of bias in that opinion because of how they're choosing to handle Batman. I'm not a big fan of Michael Keaton's Batman. I just don't want to see him come back. And I certainly don't want to see him come back to play a big part in this movie or future roles. That's just me. I know there's a lot of people who agree with me, but a lot of people who would disagree with me on that. Now, as much as I wouldn't want this movie to come out, and as much as I would want Warner Brothers to just scrap it, I know that is not going to happen. I mean, never say never. Crazier things have happened, and they could potentially full out bite this $200 million budget bullet and say, all right, move on. But it's not likely. But first, let's get into the article, see what it has to say, and then we'll discuss more about it after. Zaslav's first movie crisis, what to do with Ezra Miller, the erratic star of Warner Brothers' $200 million Flash franchise launch. Even though it isn't on the Warner Brothers release calendar until June 23rd of 2023, The Flash is becoming Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav's first movie crisis because of the escalating coverage of incidents, volatile, and odd behavior involving the film star Ezra Miller. Zaslav has made clear his desire to grow the DC universe to MCU scale and has all the ingredients of a first foot forward in The Flash, including the return of Michael Keaton as Batman, with a reprise by Ben Affleck, a $200 million budget, and a hot director in Andy Muschietti. The Warner Brothers Discovery CEO exercised his well-known penchant for micromanagement by declining the Greenlight Wonder Twins for being too niche. Zaslav will have soon to make a decision of what to do with the completed picture, that is The Flash, and what to do with a young actor who appears to have serious offset issues. This is exactly what I was saying. Zaslav's been CEO of this company for what? 3 months, 2.5 months, and he's already dealing with this Ezra Miller issue. And it's not just an issue. This is like a groundbreaking, world-altering company decision. What are you going to do with The Flash moving forward, considering Warner Brothers originally wanted to make him a focal point after things started to fall apart with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder? There's a lot that rides on this, and it just really sucks to find yourself running a company that owns DC and then realize you can't have fun with it. You're actually having a terrible time trying to figure shit out. Deadline has heard the studio has tried getting help for Miller, but the troubling headlines continue to pile up. Could you send a potential liability on a global publicity tour and have the actor anchor a huge studio franchise play? Zaslav has several choices and he will make one of them soon. Among them, he can pull back on heavily promoting the summer 2023 film, confining it to some P&A and no publicity tour. He can relegate it to streaming with HBO Max and take a write-down, or lean in toward making the movie a hit and then drop Miller if they can't straighten things out. I think you have to do a mixture of all three. No marketing or advertising, unless somehow you want to do it for other characters, but then you're not really marketing the Flash movie anymore. You're marketing, say, Supergirl or Michael Keaton's Batman for the Flash film. Might cause some confusion on who's this movie really about. 2, you have to release it on HBO Max. This is a failure for Warner Brothers, no matter what they do. Release it in theaters, it will not make the money you want. Releasing it to HBO Max, you might still get some money depending on the deals they have with other companies and however the money works on streaming services. And also, too, an in-home release away from the public of a movie theater, it takes away some of the controversy you would have by promoting an Ezra Miller-led film, and not just any ordinary Ezra Miller film, a Flash movie, a character that tons of people look up to, especially children. The last thing you want is for kids to be watching this movie, be like, oh, I want to be like him. I want to be like this version of the Flash. You don't want to have to risk tainting your brand that way. And then 3, it's not about if and when dropping Ezra Miller if he can't straighten out. No, it is drop Ezra Miller. Done deal. Simple as that. Move on, remove him from the world, get somebody else, do whatever you gotta do to replace Ezra Miller. This is no more defending Ezra Miller, this is simply taking action and getting rid of him. As it says at the end of the paragraph there, they removed Johnny Depp for a lot less than what Ezra is doing. So why the decision has not fully officially been made public that he is done, I don't know, but it's time to move on from him. There is no winning in this for Warner Brothers, one studio source tells us. Told ya. This is an inherited problem for Zaslav. The hope is that the scandal will remain at a low level before the movie is released, and hope for the best to turn out. Sources said even if one more allegation surface, the studio won't likely keep Miller in the Flash role in future DC films. That would mean replacing him in the future, but there is still a $200 million investment on the line with the first film, and Warner Brothers execs having to be cringing at each new press report. I'm not an exec and I cringe. I know a lot of people who watch my channel cringe. I know a lot of DC fans cringe. I know a lot of other people who are simply fans of fiction and fantasy and comic books cringe at this, because this is unacceptable. This is completely unnecessary, and I always say this, and I'm going to continue to say it until things start to look better. This is the last position or situation they want to find themselves in right now. There have been 2 more rounds of unflattering headlines just in the last 2 weeks for the 29-year-old Miller who identifies as non-binary. The Daily Beast reported that there was a temporary harassment prevention order this week from a 12-year-old and a mother in Greenfield, Massachusetts, against the actor after Miller allegedly menaced the family and acted inappropriately toward the non-binary child. Yes, there is a somewhat newer report of another allegation on Ezra Miller of this 12-year-old and the mother. Based off of recent articles and news reports, we know what's going on with the grooming situation over there. And if you do want to know more about that, you can check out my recent video where I do detail it a little bit more. But the article does go on to say a couple of more things that Ezra Miller has done that makes his character very questionable and just quite disgusting. And I'm gonna read them off for you just in case you don't know them. Prior to the recent news about Takata's parents' allegations against Miller, the actor was arrested twice in Hawaii for a dust-up at a karaoke bar in March, followed by an arrest for second-degree assault at a residence a month later for allegedly throwing a chair at a woman at a private party Miller attended. cutting her forehead. During the incident, the Hawaii Police Department Hilo Patrol reported that Miller became agitated when patrons began singing Shallow from A Star Is Born. Miller began yelling obscenities and at one point grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman singing karaoke and later lunged at a 32-year-old man playing darts. The bar owner asked Miller to calm down several times to no avail. The actor was arrested and charged on both offenses with bail set at $500. 2 days later, the couple who lived with Miller at a hostel filed a restraining order against the actor after Miller returned home from the karaoke bar and allegedly threatened to bury them. Miller reportedly stole the wife's passport and husband's wallet. By mid-April, the restraining order was dropped. And an even more disturbing incident happened in April 2020. A video went viral that appeared to show Miller choking a woman and throwing her to the ground at a bar in I can't pronounce that, not going to embarrass myself, Iceland, an incident that occurred after Miller was confronted by pushy fans. Miller was escorted out of the venue. So that's just too much. That's way too much hassle to have to deal with when you have him arguably playing, I'm going to say, top 3 or 4 character in DC. And to make all these matters worse, you can't even find the guy. He deletes all his social media, more particularly his Instagram, and one of his last posts is some stupid BS about how you'll never find me, I'm in a different dimension. He is awful, and none of this is worth it anymore. I really wanted to read this article because I really wanted to put into perspective the shit that David Zaslav is going through and how insane of a situation this really is, and honestly, just unnecessary, very unfortunate. And for anybody out there who did not know about all these allegations, there are still some people who don't know about the choking video he did in 2020. This is just one of those situations where the answer on what you have to do can't be any more clear. It's right in front of your face. Remove the fool. Hey, if it were up to me, maybe it is the wrong decision. I wouldn't even release this movie. I would eat the $200 million deficit, and I'd sue the hell out of Ezra Miller, that's for sure. And I find it so fascinating. Every time I talk about Ezra Miller and The Flash, I find it insane how this movie was being planned in 2014, man. This film has truly been through production hell, and it's been everything. It's been planning movie schedules over the year. It's been following Zack Snyder's storyline and then all of a sudden switching up in the last seconds. It's been removing directors, producers, and writers. It's been departures. It has been so much shit, and over the past couple of years, it's primarily been Ezra Miller doing really dumb stuff, which gets the movie delayed. Can you reshoot this film? No, probably not. That's already like another $100 million that you'd add to this $200 million budget just to remove Ezra Miller from every scene, whether or not you're deep faking someone else's face or literally substituting another actor in. That's too much money, it's too much time, too much effort for something that you still know you won't make your money back from. Two options are scrap the film or release it quietly on HBO Max, and whereas the best option is to probably do it on HBO Max, you will not see me complaining if they say movie's not coming out. But anyways, everyone, that's it for this video. If you want to check out the full article yourself, I will link a description to it below so you can read it. You guys let me know in the comments below what you really think of this situation, what you thought of this article, because I thought this was really well written and it was detailed really well with all potential possibilities of what could happen moving forward for the future of the Flash and the DCEU. But anyways, everyone, that is it for this video, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.